Dry steering is simply the process of turning the wheel, like this, when the car's not moving. You won't fail your driving test for dry steering because it doesn't put anyone at risk, but it is bad practice because it puts your tyres and suspension under greater strain. It can be difficult to avoid dry steering when you're trying to manoeuvre in a confined space, such as this one I have here. Moving away from here without steering is going to be pretty hard. Now it's time to try and see me move around this car whilst I'm moving the car at the same time. So, first gear, handbrake off. I'm going to try and go around this car really slowly in steering time, but I've got very close to the car because I was moving forwards quite a lot as I was trying to turn. This time I'm going to move around the car, but instead of moving forwards and steering at the same time, I'm going to let off the brake and then steer, and you will find the car will actually move itself as much as it needs to, which will be a lot less than it moved last time. And the fact it's moving so much less will enable me to do more steering without moving so much, and hopefully I'll make it this time. So here we go, second attempt. So this time I'll just come off the foot brake gently and steer, and the car has moved a little bit. You saw it move a tiny bit there. It wasn't completely still, and now when I move away it's much easier for me to fit past, and I can just about make it this time. So dry steering in itself is actually bad for the car, but it's very easy to avoid. You don't actually have to physically use your gas and your clutch to move the car yourself. Just letting off the brake is all you need to do to avoid dry steering. If the car needs to move when you steer, it will happily move itself. However, on a steep hill such as this one, you won't be able to come off the brake completely because it will move too fast. Instead, come off the brake a small amount and just allow it to be slow. Then I can steer to my heart's content with no harm at all. However, when facing uphill, such as I am now, don't worry too much about dry steering. Just turn the wheel. The extra strain on your car is really minimal. And remember, you can't fail your driving test for it. Dry steering could be a minor on your driving test if you were doing it really severely, like unnecessarily turning the wheel from left to right when you don't really need to. But if it's a question between risking hitting the car in front of you by trying to move and steer at the same time, or just turning the wheel whilst you're stationary, I would choose turning the wheel when you're stationary. Now in an older and rather louder car such as this one, which doesn't have power steering, if you try to dry steer, it's really hard. However, once you start the car moving at around 1 or 2 miles an hour, like this, suddenly it's a lot easier. This is part of the reason why dry steering was frowned upon 30 or so years ago. But since the 1990s, most cars have had power steering, and certainly since the year 2000, just about every car made has had power steering. So dry steering is a bit of an old and outdated problem. That's all for this one. Please leave a comment in the comments below for what videos you want to see in the future, and please subscribe if you want to see those videos.